Welcome to Section 3 of Learning Practical Network Scanning. This is all about Nessus. In this section, we're going to take a look at downloading and installing Nessus, the initial configuration of Nessus, performing host discovery, how to find the hosts that are out there. We'll then move into performing port scanning, so now that we know that the hosts are there, how do we actually scan those, as well as how to determine what applications and operating systems are available using Nessus, and any sort of additional features that may be available for scanning. And then finally, we'll take a look at some reports that Nessus can generate and how to analyze them and where to look for certain things. Welcome to downloading and installing Nessus. This is video 3.1 of Learning Practical Network Scanning. In this video, we are going to specifically look at how to obtain and license Nessus. Since Nessus is a proprietary product provided by Tenable, you need to receive a specific activation code for it, and then how to install Nessus and get it running, and then log into the web page that it has. Your first stop is going to be the Nessus homepage, and it's actually kind of hard to find. If you go to the Tenable website, or you do a search for Nessus, a lot of times you'll be taken to different subpages within here, and if you take a look at products, for example, you'll see that there's the Nessus Professional link, and Nessus report templates, Nessus download, but nothing really for the Nessus home. So I recommend simply going to the actual URL, tenable.com/products/nessus-home. So this is the home version of Nessus for specifically your own personal use or education. And we need to register for a free activation code in order to use Nessus and for it to receive updates and additional information from the Tenable servers. So we're going to do that on the right hand side. Fill in your information and email, and they will send you an activation code that will then enter after the installation process. Once you've registered and it's sent you an activation code, the page will refresh and you can simply download Nessus right from there. So click on the download button and then choose the version appropriate for the operating system you're going to install Nessus on. One thing I do recommend people do is to run their scanning system, whether it's Nessus or Nmap or OpenVAS or anything else. They run it on a Linux system. And the reason for that is because there's restrictions, or at least there used to be restrictions. They've been lightened up over the years from Windows computers. So in the TCP stack, they actually prevent a large number of connections occurring at one time, which is something that you don't want on a scanner because you want to have a lot of parallel connections at one time in order to get the scan done in a timely fashion. Whereas in Linux, that's not a problem and there's no restriction there. So that's just one reason why I prefer to use Linux for that. So it's something you might want to try out. If not, they certainly have installers for Windows here. And I'm going to switch over to my Linux system. I happen to be running Kubuntu here, which is an Ubuntu flavor. We're going to go to the deb file. Since Ubuntu is Debian based, I'm actually going to download this deb file here. It's a 64-bit system, and we'll save that to our downloads. It's actually not that large of a package. Go ahead and open up our download folder, and then just double click on that, and it will run the installer. Usually in Linux you try to install stuff through your package manager built into your distribution. But Nessus in this case is not included in those distribution package managers, so we have to install it manually. Go ahead and authenticate this. This is actually the console output. And you can see here in the output it actually gives us a little message to let us know how we need to start our Nessus service and how to connect to it. So this is my system's host name. You can also use localhost and the port that it's on. So this looks like we have to start a service and then go to a web page that it should be listening on. And so that console output in the installer actually told us to run an init script, but I know the system has systemd. A lot of the modern Linux distributions run systemd, so I'm not going to run it that way. We're going to do sudo system control start nessusd and enter in my root credentials. And now we can take a look and check if Nessus is running. It is indeed running. So now we can go to that port number. It was 8834. And I'm going to try and do that from outside this VM. since it should be bridged to my local network. Okay, so I know my VM is running at 192.168.77.167, and I'm trying to get to it on port 8834. You can see that we got an error message though, because I'm trying to get to it over insecure HTTP. So we have to make sure we actually connect with HTTPS. And this system has a self-signed certificate, so we have to allow this in Firefox here and add an exception to our certificate rules so that it doesn't complain. Now that we've gotten to our web page, going to run some initial setups that it has to do, and we can add some accounts and do a little prep work here as it goes along and does those. So I'm going to add in an admin user, and here you see that it asks for that activation code that we filled out for in the initial step. So go to your email and grab that activation code. Once you paste that in and click continue, that menu will go away and you'll see the initialization and setup process will continue here. Note that if you have to reinstall Nessus for any reason, you'll have to get a new activation code. They are one-time use. After what could have been a long while on my VM, it took anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, the screen will eventually refresh and provide you the initial interface for Nessus. So in this video we went through the initial licensing of Nessus, how to download it, how to install it, some recommendations regarding that, and then how to get to the initial web interface after it goes through its setup process.